Have you ever felt like your mind is betraying you? Like there's a hidden battle raging inside your head that you can't even see? What if I told you the real enemy isn't exhaustion or burnout, but a clever trick your own brain is playing on you right now? Welcome to the invisible war inside your mind. And today you're about to learn how to fight back and win. There's a silent war unfolding in your mind every single day, but it's not against the outside world. No, the real battle is against yourself. Every time you feel drained or find yourself aimlessly scrolling on your phone, forgetting what you even wanted, that feeling isn't proof that you're out of energy. Far from it. It's an illusion, a masterful deception crafted by your brain over millions of years of evolution. This incredible machine inside your skull is designed to keep you safe, to conserve energy at all costs. But here's the catch. That protection often feels like a trap. This is psychological warfare at its finest. Fatigue, it's not your true enemy. It's the cunning snare that convinces you to give up, to settle for less. You might think your environment is neutral, but it's anything but. It's carefully engineered to keep you locked in place, stagnant, predictable, and harmless. Think about it. Notifications buzzing, endless platforms, micro habits that pull you in without you even noticing. These are soft walls built around your mind, whispering, "This is enough. Stop here." But beneath that shallow layer of focus lies a far deeper, far more powerful force, the zone of pure willpower, the place where motivation fades and raw determination takes over. Picture a cornered warrior with no escape. There's only one move left: attack. This is where you learn to overclock your brain. When everyone else quits, this is where you start to rise. You notice the patterns others miss, tapping into an energy that's not sweet or easy, but fierce and unstoppable. The energy of absolute self-control. Now the clock is ticking. The year is slipping away. And you need every ounce of clarity, every fragment of focus you can muster. And here's the good, busting the myth of cognitive fatigue. You might believe you're burned out, that your brain is running on empty, begging for a break. You glance at the clock, feel your heart pounding, and your mind goes blank. You tell yourself, "I'm out of battery." But here's the truth. That's dead wrong. What you're feeling is not depletion. It's not a brick wall. It's a threshold, a challenge to push beyond, not a stop sign. This is exactly the point where most people throw in the towel. They listen to the nagging voice in their heads telling them to stop, to rest, to slow down. But for a rare and determined few, the ones who refuse to bow to those whispers, this is when the real magic begins. The machine inside you, it's not shutting down. It's waking up. Not just waking up, it's gearing up to overclock. This is the secret that separates true geniuses from the rest. It's not about being smarter or more gifted. It's about refusing to accept that first wave of exhaustion as the final verdict. They push beyond the initial fatigue, and what they discover is nothing short of extraordinary. A mysterious kind of dark energy. Imagine your mind cooling down, sharpening, zeroing in like a razor's edge. Creativity here isn't some random spark. It moves with the precision and instinct of a seasoned warrior in battle. It's tactical, focused, relentless. Take James Dyson, for example, the mastermind behind the revolutionary bagless vacuum cleaner and the founder of a multi-billion-dollar empire. But don't be fooled by the success story. Behind every triumph lay years of relentless failure, solitude, and doubt. From 1979 to 1993, Dyson was caught in a brutal cycle. Design, build, test, fail, over and over again. The first prototype, the 100th, the 2000th, all the way to the 5,126th attempt. No investor showed up. No one believed in him. His wife held the family afloat by teaching art. Banks rejected him repeatedly. Friends mocked him, calling him a hopeless dreamer. Every failed prototype was a punch to his pride. And yet, every single night, on the edge of giving up, Dyson would stare at that mountain of scrap metal and quietly remind himself, this exhaustion is just the first threshold. He refused to believe in limits. He didn't wait for some grand inspiration to strike. All he had was a stubborn, almost delusional belief that moving forward was the only option. And then finally the breakthrough came. The motor roared to life, the airflow stayed smooth, and the dust was sucked away flawlessly. No glitches, no malfunctions, just perfect raw innovation. What happened next shook the entire vacuum cleaner industry. For decades, this market had been ruled by corporate giants. Suddenly, their monopoly was broken by one man's relentless spirit and a mind that refused to quit. Dyson wasn't born a genius. What set him apart was something far simpler, and yet far more powerful. It was a single Stoic skill that the modern world has all but forgotten. The discipline to push beyond the first crushing wave of fatigue, the very moment when most people give up and turn back. In Stoicism, there's a timeless quote from Epictetus that you need to burn into your mind. Difficulties show men what they are. What does that mean? It means adversity doesn't break you. It reveals your true strength. You don't really know how strong you are until the world is against you. And despite everything, you keep moving forward. Fatigue isn't a red flag telling you to stop. It's a challenge daring you to push through. Epictetus, a slave who rose to become a philosopher, a man stripped of everything yet sharp as ever, knew this truth well. Limits don't come from your body or your energy reserves. They come from the stories you tell yourself about what you can or can't endure. Ask yourself, are you truly tired, or do you just believe you are? Picture this, a dense, black zone where the urge to quit thumps like a distant drumbeat. Everyone hears it. Most people turn around, retreating to the comfort of safety, drowning that feeling in coffee, scrolling on their phones, or making excuses. But you, if you're stubborn enough, sharp enough, stoic enough, you keep going. Every step forward is a strike against your reflex to back down. And then suddenly, without warning, you slip into a dark flow state. Distractions vanish. Hesitation disappears. Only action remains. You're no longer just working. You're being driven by a version of yourself that's colder, clearer, and more ruthless. This isn't fantasy or a passing spark of motivation. This is dark energy, a real, tangible force born from Stoic resilience, patient without emotion, decisive without drama. So if you're sitting there at your desk, staring at unfinished work and thinking you need a break, stop. It's not time yet. You're standing on the brink of a neurological breakthrough. But it only happens if you dare to push past that first wave of exhaustion. Talent, not required. What you do need is silence, endurance, and relentless forward motion. And every time you do, something incredible happens. Not just your work advances, but you advance. Your mind rewires itself. Your brain learns to respond not with fear or fatigue, but with razor-sharp focus and unstoppable will. Not by running away, but by charging forward with full force. Not everyone crosses that invisible line, but those who do, they see the world like geniuses do. They act like geniuses act. It's not because they were born with some rare gift. It's because they made a conscious choice to endure what most people call their limit. You've already watched the myth crumble before your eyes, the so-called "I'm tired" wall. It's not real. It's a mass delusion, a collective excuse we all tell ourselves to stop trying. But you, if you're brave enough, you can set that false boundary on fire and watch it burn day after day. So here's the question. What's holding you back from flipping the switch into nuclear mode every single morning? It's not your willpower. It's not a lack of desire or motivation. It's your environment, a cognitive minefield designed to pull you down. Think about it. Every open browser tab, every notification ping, every stray paper or random gadget on your desk is like a tiny pin stuck in your brain. Each one drags you back toward distraction, back to the comfort of mediocrity. If you want to overclock your brain, to push past ordinary limits, you have to build a frictionless environment, an unbreakable mental fortress where you control what enters your mind. A place where peak focus and flow aren't just possible, they happen on demand. In part 2, I'll guide you through exactly how to build that cognitive stronghold. You'll discover why Maya Angelou wrote her greatest works inside a stark, empty hotel room, and why your cluttered desk is quietly killing the genius inside you every single day. Are you ready to clear the battlefield and claim your mind? Build a frictionless environment. Since the 1960s, Maya Angelou didn't start her mornings with coffee or small talk over breakfast. Instead, she would leave her cozy home, walk away from everything familiar, and head straight to a nearby hotel. Not to relax, not to escape noise, but to write. What's truly remarkable isn't just that she wrote there, but how mercilessly she cut away everything that could get in the way. She rented an empty, bare hotel room, anonymous, stripped of all personal touches. No photos, no distractions, no reminders of everyday life. Just a blank space where her mind could focus like a laser beam. Then Maya Angelou went even further. She asked the hotel staff to remove every single piece of artwork from the walls. No paintings, no photos, nothing to catch the eye or stir a thought. No phone, no TV, no clock ticking away. No mood lighting, no throw pillows, no decorations of any kind. In that stripped-down, almost barren room, only a handful of objects remained. A Bible, a small bottle of cherry-flavored medicine, a dictionary, and stacks of yellow legal pads for her to write on. She didn't sit at a desk or lean back in a chair. Instead, she lay flat on the bed, face inches from the page, as if forcing herself to stare directly into the words, refusing to look away until they revealed their meaning. Every single day, she produced 10 to 12 pages of writing, but then she ruthlessly crossed out most of it. Only 2 or 3 pages survived the daily purge. Yet those precious, distilled pages, born from solitude, silence, and relentless focus, became the foundation of timeless masterpieces like I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings and Still I Rise. Angelou never waited for inspiration to come knocking on her door. She locked every other door, leaving only one open, the door to the work itself. That empty space didn't smother her creativity, it unleashed it. Most of us severely underestimate the mind killers scattered across our everyday environment. The ping of a message, open browser tabs, an unfinished paper lying on the desk, a notebook left open, items out of place. Each small detail might seem harmless at first glance, but in reality, they are cognitive parasites, slowly draining your attention bit by bit, until you're left with a fragmented, restless mind, incapable of diving deeply into anything meaningful. Your brain isn't slowing down because you lack motivation. It's slowing down because every single second you're forced to decide, do I respond to this distraction or do I silence the noise? And every time you hesitate, every time you pause, you lose precious momentum. Stoicism doesn't teach you how to be creative. What it teaches is how to cut, how to sever what's outside your control, how to purge everything unnecessary so your focus can remain razor sharp and unbreakable. Seneca once said, if you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. This isn't a call to take a vacation or to seek out beautiful scenery as a productivity hack. It's a powerful reminder that true freedom and focus come from within by changing yourself, not your surroundings. This is more than just a strategy. It's a declaration of internal control through mastering your environment. You can't expect to transform your life if you're still holding on to the old cluttered structures that keep you tethered to distraction. You simply cannot perform like a genius when every corner of your room serves as an escape hatch for procrastination. The truth is, you don't need more stuff or more tools. You need less, radically less. To truly overclock your brain, you have to grasp an unofficial yet profoundly real law of mental thermodynamics. The less friction there is, the faster your mind can move. And here, friction isn't about physical resistance. It's about your mental energy scattering in 1,000 directions. That open news tab, it's a siren call pulling your focus away. The photo still hanging on your wall, a misdirected memory tugging at your attention. An unchecked notification, a dopamine trap cleverly disguised as harmless noise. To unleash your peak mental performance, you must turn your workspace into a cognitive fortress, a mental stronghold where no distractions are allowed to survive. But building this fortress isn't about aesthetics or making your space look pretty. It's a ritual, a battle cry. The moment you sit down, your brain must know there's no room for retreat. Turn off every notification. Close every open loop. The unfinished journal, the unanswered email, the file left half done. Clear your mental desk as rigorously as your physical one. Set powerful triggers to anchor your focus. An object that reminds you of your goal. A photo, a motivating quote, a symbol of your purpose. Maybe a fixed cup of coffee, or a simple startup ritual, like tapping your desk 3 times. And above all, pick a workspace that's white, clean, and empty. A place where your mind won't drown in a sea of colors, signals, and clutter. This isn't about coldness or sterility. It's the perfect environment to ignite your inner fire. Maya Angelou wasn't alone in this. Elite athletes, musicians, top strategists, they all know the power of minimalism in their environment. The strongest minds aren't forged from sheer willpower alone, but from creating the simplest, most distraction-free spaces possible. Here's the secret. The difference between a genius and an average person isn't how many hours they work. It's how deeply they vanish into their work when they do. To vanish like that, they must lock the outside world out. You can't overclock your brain if you're stuck wandering an unclean maze. Every open tab, every page left unturned, every sudden noise, each one is a leak in your attention, pulling your mind further from the battlefield. And the more doors you leave open, the less your brain knows where to fight, until it fights nowhere at all. Do you want to work 4 hours as effectively as someone grinding for 14? Imagine entering a deep flow state in just 7 minutes, rather than warming your seat for hours, waiting for some elusive burst of inspiration to strike. It all starts with one simple but ruthlessly effective move. Close everything unnecessary. It's not that you lack motivation. You're being weighed down by unfinished loops, background psychological scripts silently draining your energy like dormant viruses. An unanswered email, a notebook half filled, a reminder left dangling in your mind. These seemingly minor distractions are invisible friction, shackling your mind and preventing it from ever hitting peak neural speed. The solution isn't to do more, it's to clear more. Empty your environment, cleanse your thoughts, anchor yourself firmly in the present through light, sound, or a simple ritual action. Then you'll witness something that seems like magic. Energy returning without any external input. This isn't motivation. This is physics. Less friction means more speed. And if you think eliminating friction is the destination, Think again. It's only the prelude. Because once you've built a distraction-free fortress, the next step isn't to wait for flow to come knocking. It's to take command and summon it on demand. No more randomness, no more luck. In the next phase, you'll learn how to force your brain into a state of neural superperformance, a zone where distractions vanish, time slows, and you become more machine than human. Trigger neural flow on command. Before every high-stakes chess match, Garry Kasparov didn't wait for divine blessings or pray for good fortune. No meditation, no knee tapping, no herbal tea rituals. He entered the game like a warrior and trained his brain to ignite flow like flipping a switch. 3 minutes before the match, Kasparov would leave the table and walk briskly about 30 meters, not to relax, but to elevate his heart rate and awaken his nervous system. Then, 6 deep, deliberate breaths, simple yet profoundly effective. A clear signal to flip his brain's switch to alertness, priming his mind to shift into a higher gear. But when he returned, he didn't just sit down and wait for things to happen. Kasparov closed his eyes for 10 seconds. In that brief moment, his mind wasn't rehearsing basic strategies or simple moves. Instead, it plunged deep into a complex opening, a chaotic labyrinth full of traps and twists. He threw his brain straight into the heart of the maze, forcing it to fight before the sword was even drawn. Then came a small, razor-sharp gesture, uncapping his fountain pen. The subtle click echoed quietly in the room. No one noticed, but to Kasparov, it was a powerful trigger, hardwired into his brain, a signal that the battle had officially begun. His coach later confirmed that about 25 to 30 minutes after that sound, Kasparov would vanish from the physical world. No distractions, no noise, no lights, only 64 squares, and a mind so sharp it could visualize 12 moves deep, as if piercing through walls. This was flow in its purest form, precise, unshakable, and razor-focused. Flow didn't come to Kasparov by luck. It came because he trained himself to summon it on command. You don't have to be a chess grandmaster to tap into the state. Flow isn't magic. It doesn't arrive on perfect timing, and it doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Flow is a state you can call forth if you know how, and it starts by smashing a modern myth. You cannot reach peak performance while multitasking. You can't flip into high gear if your day begins with scrolling social media, checking messages, or answering emails. That's a soft, sluggish launch, a slow drip of distractions that kills flow before it even has a chance to rise. You have to throw your brain straight into the hard stuff right from the start. Yes, it will sting, but that sting is a signal, your nervous system declaring, this is battle, not a game. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Grasp this truth, and you'll find real strength. This isn't just comforting advice, it's a battle cry. You can't control deadlines, incoming messages, delays, or a world that seems to be unraveling around you. But you can control the mental state you step into every morning. You hold the power to flip the switch in your brain, from foggy to laser-focused, from reactive to proactive, from avoidance to attack mode. Want to trigger flow on command? Start like Kasparov, with a ritual that's simple, short, and repeatable. One motion, one sound, one cue, and most importantly, one hard problem you decide to attack first. Don't wait for easy. Easy is poison. Flow only arrives when your brain is pushed to the edge. Activating flow isn't some mystical philosophy or ancient ritual. It's a neurotechnical skill you can train every day, a precise sequence of deliberate, ruthless actions. Flow doesn't wait for inspiration's blessing. It demands a system. Step 1. Pick one single task. No multitasking, no juggling, no sneaking in a few small things to not waste time. Everything else? Noise. Step 2. Attack the hardest part first. No warm-up, no easing in. Throw yourself headlong into the zone of highest resistance because flow doesn't appear when things are easy. It wakes up only on the razor's edge between chaos and control. Step 3. Lock every escape route. Your phone goes in another room, out of reach. Your browser gets blocked. You log out of email. Every addictive trigger is severed. There's nowhere to run. Step 4. Plant a sensory anchor. A familiar light, a sound, a specific object that screams go time. That's your brain's cue. Transformation begins now. Then endure the first 20 to 30 minutes. It won't be comfortable. It might be brutal. But if you don't quit, the world around you will dissolve. You won't hear traffic outside. You won't notice how long you've been sitting. Your hands will type, draw, think, move like a machine in overdrive. That's flow. That's zero gravity for your thoughts, where you meet the high-speed version of yourself. And if you ever believed you need inspiration to do deep work, delete that myth right now. Inspiration is a luxury. Flow is earned through ritual and endurance. Genius isn't the most talented person. Genius is the one who forces themselves to work like their life depends on it, even when no one's watching, because they know the world only rewards those who perform at their peak. No one cares if you're tired, distracted, or not in the mood. The work is the only thing that survives. Want flow? Then stop waiting. Stop scrolling. Stop overthinking. Set your schedule. Repeat your ritual. Suffer through the first 30 minutes and then vanish from the world. Now it's your turn. Have you ever entered that state where time disappears, and when you return, a chapter, a piece of code, or a song is done as if it wrote itself? Share your ritual in the comments. Or if you've never felt it, let this be your first call. It's time to reprogram your brain. It's time for flow to stop being an accident and become a command. Master the art of controlled burnout. If you believe hard work is the key to success, you're right. But if you think pushing yourself at nuclear intensity nonstop is the only way to win, you're setting yourself on fire. The brain doesn't break from lack of talent. It breaks because you demand it to burn without giving it time to cool down. You throw yourself into 12 to 14-hour days, hoping to smash personal records with sheer willpower. But just a few weeks later, you hit the blur zone. No more creativity, no sharpness, only the sluggish sound of keystrokes and a nameless exhaustion that drags you down. Burnout isn't a sign of weakness. Burnout is a sign of no recovery strategy. Look at the core team behind The Last of Us Part 2, a masterpiece that shook the gaming world, won over 300 Game of the Year awards, and set a new storytelling standard in digital media. It wasn't magic. It wasn't sudden inspiration. It was discipline, cyclical neural execution. Over 30 months, 40 people at Naughty Dog didn't grind nonstop. They coded intensely, but they didn't let pressure code them. They broke the project into what they called rings of fire, 6-week sprints of extreme intensity, 80 to 90 hours per week, building the engine, designing the world, fine-tuning every line of logic. A cycle demanding minds as sharp as blades and stamina, like special forces. But here's the key. They didn't keep that pace forever. After each high-speed sprint came a deliberate slowdown, an actual break. No coding, no emergency meetings. They arrived late, joined sketching workshops, and took walks on the beaches of Santa Monica. Not emptying their minds, but releasing the tension. The result? Cortisol, the stress hormone, dropped by 32%. And in the next sprint, the team's productivity soared by 18%. They didn't aim to win through speed alone. They won through smart cycles of burn and cool down. They knew the human brain, no matter how brilliant, needs time to sharpen its blade. Without those cool down weeks, sure, they might have shipped a game, but never a masterpiece. and certainly not survive 2.5 years to craft a legend. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach you to stay in constant battle mode. On the contrary, it warns you against the illusion of endless strength. Epictetus said it best: "No great thing is created suddenly. Nothing great is built in a single flash of brilliance. Every monumental work has a harsh rhythm, but it's a smart one." The Stoics don't fear hardship, but they aren't foolish enough to charge into fire without armor. Stoicism teaches endurance, but endurance in cycles. You go all in for 4 to 6 weeks, where discipline becomes instinct, distraction has no place, and you become a warrior ruled by a steel-tight schedule. Then you cool down for 1 to 2 weeks, not out of weakness, but because this is how real machines survive. You recalibrate dopamine. You learn slowly but deeply. You move lightly. You write first drafts with zero pressure. And when you return, your blade is sharper. You're not just strong, you're twice as dangerous. Controlled burnout isn't rest. It's the art of shutting off the engine while there's still fuel in the tank. It's stepping away from the battlefield while you still have the strength to fight. So tomorrow you strike cleaner, faster, with no exposed weakness. In contrast, the naive ones try to squeeze out the last drop of water from the tank. And when they're drained, they don't bounce back in a week or two. They lose their drive. They lose their zest for life. They don't need a reset. They need a rescue. But you're different because you choose to step back. You control the cycle. You own even the moment you pause. To truly overclock your brain, you can't just obsess over counting work hours like some worshiper of grind culture. Sure, you can hammer away at the keyboard for 14 hours a day, but if your brain has no space to heal itself, all you're doing is piling more pressure onto a system already on the brink of collapse. Real performance doesn't come from constancy. It comes from smart rhythms. Just like muscles need rest to grow, the brain needs stillness to mend the microfractures you can't even see. It's in those moments of doing nothing that deep thinking actually begins. When you take aimless walks, no headphones, no podcasts, ideas surface from places you never expected. Not because you're thinking about work, but because you've stopped interfering with your brain's most natural way of reconnecting. You learn something completely unrelated: drawing, dancing, philosophy, or martial arts, to open new pathways between parts of the brain that rarely meet on any calendar. And suddenly, a big project idea emerges from a small move in an unnamed practice. In the end, you reset your dopamine by cutting off all the fake rewards. No social media, no task checking for the thrill, just stillness, the blur of a slower rhythm. So when you return, you don't just get back to work. You charge in like it's the first time you've ever been allowed to create something that truly matters. This isn't rest. It's the art of pausing to be reborn. The wisdom of Stoic philosophy doesn't lie in telling you to slow down, nor does it glorify working yourself into the ground. Stoicism doesn't romanticize rest, nor worship the grind. It sees human functioning the same way it sees the universe: in rhythm. Inhale, push hard. Exhale, regenerate. Without both, you die. A nervous system that only takes in without releasing will collapse. A body that only burns energy without recovering will break. Not because you're weak, but because you're out of rhythm. The modern world idolizes those who work 16 hours a day. Stories like Hideo Kojima sleeping at the studio during Metal Gear's development are passed around as legendary proof of dedication. An artist willing to sacrifice health to perfect every detail. But behind the spotlight lies a heavy price paid in mental breakdowns and prolonged depression. You can grind 16 hours a day and still let your mind spiral. Get swept away by emotions, react on instinct, and lose yourself. The Stoic, even working just 6 hours, moves like a scalpel: precise, composed, deliberate. Not a minute wasted, not a single unconscious act. They master not just their time, but their energy, their mind in the internal rhythm within each moment. That's the difference between working like a burnout legend and working like a warrior in control of their inner power. You don't need to prove yourself by doing more than others. That's easy. Skip lunch, cut sleep, fuel up on caffeine, run head first. Anyone can do that. The hard part is working at high intensity without being consumed by the very fire you ignite. You prove yourself by managing your inner power better than anyone else, knowing when to push, when to stop, when to sharpen the blade instead of swinging it mindlessly. The world rewards results. True. But lasting results only come to those who operate themselves like regenerative systems. You can't create a masterpiece if your only strategy is going all in today without giving your brain a chance to recover for tomorrow. Want to go far? You need rhythm. You need cycles. Not some vague rest when tired nonsense, but a schedule built like a burn-cool surge loop. Overclock for 4 to 6 weeks. Push yourself to full capacity, ruthless discipline, razor-sharp focus. No entertainment, no distractions, only offense. Then decelerate for 1 to 2 weeks. You deliberately slow down, but you don't slack off. You rest strategically, learn slow and deep, reset your dopamine, write messy drafts with zero pressure, walk more, sleep more, then surge again. You don't start from scratch, you come back sharper, an upgraded version of yourself. This is the path of those who don't burn themselves out just to shine, but who choose to burn in control, lasting longer than anyone else. Ask yourself, are you lighting fires to guide your path, or just burning yourself up to be seen? If that question makes you pause, look closely at your schedule. Do you have a crunch mode? Great. You work 14 hours a day, cut off social media, hit flow 3 times a week. That's excellent. But do you have a cool down window? Do you reserve a week designed for retreat, for silent recovery without guilt? Do you practice ritual withdrawal, cutting off inputs, easing the pressure, opening the door to neural self-healing? Do you have a framework for sharpening your blade again? If not, start now. Not just to survive, but to explode with sustained force without ever breaking down. Don't be a firework, bright, loud, and gone fast. Be a reusable rocket engine. Fly far, land, sharpen, launch again, higher, more precise. Stoicism isn't about being cold and unfeeling like stone. Stoicism is the art of energy regulation, like a combat strategy, knowing when to strike, when to sheath the blade, when to breathe deep and let the world pass. Masterpieces aren't born from madness. They come from controlled madness. If you truly want to outwork every genius you know, this is the difference. A genius might outwork you, but can they out-restore you? Can they stay at peak performance for 3 months, 6 months, 2 years without crashing? If you learn to burn, rest, and return like a battle machine, you don't need inborn talent. You just need a superior internal operating system. And when others get tired, you accelerate. When others quit, you continue. Not because you're superhuman, because you know when to pull back, so you can come back with twice the firepower. You've just uncovered a brutal but honest blueprint to overclock your brain. Outwork every genius you know, and do it without burning yourself to ashes. We shattered the myth of mental fatigue, built an environment free of friction, triggered flow like a weapon, and mastered the art of a strategic burnout. This isn't motivation fluff. It's stoicism reimagined for the battlefield of modern life. Control, precision, discipline. That's what separates you from the average. Now we want to hear from you. Have you ever pushed past your mental limits and entered flow? What rituals or environments help you unlock your highest performance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. If you found value in this video, Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us grow this community of modern-day Stoics. And stick around. Your next video is right here. Don't miss it, because once you step into this path, there's no going back. Thank you so much for listening and being part of this journey with us. Your support means the world and keeps us inspired to create more meaningful content. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. We'll see you in the next video. Let's keep growing and reaching new heights together.